Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of The Hard Choice, Simple Steps for Showing Up. My name is Brad Draper. I am your host. I'm grateful for you, and we are on to episode 2 of this little mini-series within the podcast series. Such fun topics, covering how you operate, how other people operate, and how you can respond and receive other people, which is a superpower, right? Knowing how to profile or read somebody and then behave in a way that is beneficial to them so they would respond in a way you can expect, predict, and know what to do with. So you're not always walking on eggshells, so you're not reacting all the time, but you're being proactive. I tend to respond to people in a way that is most beneficial for them so I can receive what I need. It's not really, I guess it's in a way of directing the conversation. I actually had a conversation the other day that I asked a friend, "Are you religious?" Because I myself am both religious and spiritual. He said, "No, not really. Wasn't raised in that space." And I said, "Okay, now I know to not have religious context, background, and foundation in our conversations because he does not respond to that in the way that I would." I've got other friends that are very religious in nature, so most of our conversations surround religion or have religion as a foundation or as a reference point. That way we can build rapport fastest and get to where we're trying to go. That's how you get people to like you. That's how you get rapport. And when people like you, they do things with you and for you. That's how you build friendships, is you help people in what they need. They reciprocate. If there's no reciprocation, the relationship is cut off. The end. But you must first give. You be the first to give and then receive, not the other way around. If you give first and they reciprocate, okay, then we have a formation of a friendship started. But if I give and no reciprocation is given, friendship is cut off because there's nothing viable there. And that's okay. Not everybody's going to like you. You're not going to be everybody's favorite treat. And that's okay. If you were everybody's treat, then you're just being a chameleon. And chameleons never actually win in the long scheme. They just merely survive. So do you want to survive or do you want to win? Pretty sure you want to win. Otherwise, you wouldn't be listening to this podcast because that's who listens to this podcast is winners. Series number 2. I've got this friend. And this all really came because Michaela and I drove down to St. George. We had a 6-hour drive between taking our kids to my parents' house and then getting down to St. George on day 1, and then a 4-hour drive returning, and then all the driving between the houses. So our little getaway weekend was by and large sitting in the car, having fantastic and wonderful conversations about where we are at, where we are going, and the steps we're going to take to get there. And we're walking through these houses, getting an idea of what we want our house to be like, what we want our dream home to look like, feel like, smell like, appear like, be like, or where we want it to be to, the views, all the things. And on this trip, we were discussing this friend, and this friend doesn't make the best of decisions. We'll just put it that way. They make decisions that I would find less than favorable. The Michaela finds less than favorable. We think some of their decisions, or many of their decisions, by and large, are pretty dumb. And the way they choose them, pretty dumb. The way they got to them, pretty dumb. And sometimes they make some decisions that, oh my goodness, I cannot for the life of me wrap my brain around how you acquired that choice, how you got to that spot, how you thought that was a good, wise, beneficial, resourceful decision for you. And then sometimes they crash and burn, and sometimes they never even follow through with it in the first place. This particular friend asks our advice all the time. And this particular friend has never taken it, has never really used it. They ask because they want a sounding board. They ask because they want opinions. But at the end of the day, they're going to do it with what they will. And that's how most people are. Most people are going to do with all the information they have and do what they would have done anyways. They kind of either are looking for validation for what they're doing, or they're looking for a counter and then justifying the way they chose it'd be correct. And I was talking to Michaela on this drive, and I said, you have to understand this one understanding. And this is the principle of this episode. I've got a 5-year-old. I've got a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old. I cannot put my 35 years of experience in my 5-year-old's brain. It doesn't work. I can't put my 35 of experience in my 5-year-old's brain. I cannot put my masculine, physical, emotional, spiritual, mental 35-year-old self in my wife. It's not possible. I am a summation of my experiences and my learnings and my growths, most of which came from learning or losses or failures is what the world would call them. I call them learnings. And sometimes I get frustrated with my 5-year-old because he makes a choice that he thought about that he thought was wise. And I look at him and say, in what world was that a smart choice? In what world was that the thing you should do? Because here was the outcome. That's blatantly obvious. Well, that's coming from my 35-year-old mind. If I come from his 5-year-old mind, he rationalized it in the way that he did, and he thought it was brilliant. And then he tried it. Sometimes it worked. Most of the time it failed. And that's okay. That's how you learn. But I can't get mad at my 5-year-old because I knew the right answer and he didn't do it. The same way goes for adults. This friend of ours that makes these decisions, they are making these decisions because of the thought process they have. For ease of age, we'll say 35 years old, my age. This friend, though they be 35 years old in this story, they may be 5 years old in this particular thing. One of the trials so often today is finances. It's the number one cause of divorce. Finances is the number one cause of relationship breakups. It is the number one cause of most things. Suicide, finance. Most of the time it's either finance or love. But for this situation, we'll go finance. What if this 35-year-old physical person, their body is 35 years old? They've been around the sun 35 times, but their financial mind is 10 years old. Maybe their parents handled their finances for the most part, and they handled their finances until they got married. We'll say in this case, it's a female. And then their spouse, their husband, took care of their finances all the way through adulthood. And now they're 35 years old, and you wonder why they chose to spend the money they had on this very thing that was a very, very stupid decision. Well, in your mind, you could see the outcome. You can see the ripple effect on what it's going to do. But to them, they can't see that because they have a 10 or 12-year-old mind in this category of finances. Everybody is at different stages in different things. I hope that makes sense. I've got a friend. He is beyond intelligent in mathematics and statistics. I would say he's probably 150 to 300 years old in mathematics and statistics. He is one of the most intelligent statisticians I have ever known, and I've known a lot of them. I was in the chemistry and science space for 13 years, a good chunk of my life. And he is by far the most intelligent in that capacity. He is on a savant level of intelligence with mathematics and statistics. But on a social engagement, he's more like a 13 to 15-year-old. Though he himself, I'm not even sure his age, we'll say he's in his 40s. This 40-year-old male, beyond intelligent in one capacity, very, very neophytic in another capacity. Where are you? in different things. And this is going to be moment to moment, experience to experience. Everything is going to be very, very, very dynamic and very different, very fluidic, very in motion. There are going to be some days you're tired, you're low on energy. In something you're normally 18 years old at, you're going to be 7 years old at in that capacity. In some things, you're going to be ready to go. You had the proper nutrition. You're feeling great. You're normally physically 25. You're 50 in that thing. Right now, you're 75. At different points in the day, different points in life, different situations, you will be a different age, and so will everybody else. This kind of brings in a whole new light how Christ judges someone. This is why you can't judge somebody. You don't know where they are in their mind in that thing. You cannot judge somebody for their decision and you say, that was a very stupid decision. Why did you do that? Number one, I've covered an entire podcast on this, on asking the why question. The answer is only correct if the receiver assumes the answer to be correct. Otherwise, they're just going to say, I don't agree with that. Choose again. But you ask why, and they give you the answer, and it makes no sense. It does not compute at all because you are of a different age than that person and that thing. You have more or less experience than that person in that thing. It is the summation of experiences, and that's what I'm kind of loosely using this term, years of life in that thing. It's the summation of experiences, the number of experiences, the number of learnings you've had in that specific instance. So when you discuss with people different things, you want to find a team that balances each other because their strengths or the things they have a lot of years of experience in counters yours. My brother, my business partner, he is amazing at sales, go-to-market strategy, sales strategy, talking to people in a sales environment, helping people sell themselves on things. He's amazing at it. I'm pretty neophytic in it. He is exceptionally mastery. He has exceptional mastery. He's like 100 plus years old in that because he's done it so many times. He's been in sales pretty much his entire life, not just adult life, his entire life, because of the experiences he'd placed himself in or had found himself in. I have been the back office, the back end, management, managing people. Yes, still sales, different type of sales. So we counter each other. We match and we mirror. In mathematics and statistics and analytics, I blow him out of the water. I'm more like 100 and he's more like 10. And that's okay. There's not one right way to do this. And there's not one age that's better than another. Because where you are very, very learned, others are very not learned. And where they are very learned, you are very not learned. And that's amazing. I was with a friend years ago, more of an acquaintance at this point. We follow each other on social media. That's about it. He is a master of light for Sony. He is a Sony photographer. And I was with him one night. We were out doing a photo walk. I'd paid him to teach me portrait photography. And I went to one of his day boot camps. And we were doing portraiture. And I asked him, dude, have you ever done astrophotography? He said, no, I've never made time for it. I've always wanted to, but I'm traveling too much and just working too much. I've just never made time. That's something that I have spent years doing. And I started showing him photos and he said, man, these are amazing. And that really leveled the playing field because I was much, much better in photography than he was in a particular category. And then vice versa. Could he blow past me because of his skill set? Of course. But in that instance, I surpassed him and was able to teach him things, even though I was at his workshop teaching me a specific set of skills. So I want you to think about these experiences, these sets of skills with yourself and with everybody around you. You may just find and you may consider a different level of empathy for other people, a different level of patience for other people when they make decisions you don't agree with. They have a different set of learnings. They are a different age in that thing. And you may find that you can help people build rapport with people faster if you can identify where they are skilled and identify where they are not skilled and help them in the thing they need help with the most. So have this conversation with your friends, with your family, with your loved ones. That is the only way the show grows. You can find me on socials, Mr. Brad Draper. Like this thing, subscribe to it, download it for future listenings. Until next week, I love you guys. Bye.